The reason I'm having him on today is that he's on his own health journey, but he recently had something really terrible happen to him. It was so interesting, obviously terrible, sad, horrendous.
I woke up one morning, it was just a normal morning, I had school, but I realized, I was running late, so I popped out of bed, I started moving quickly to my bathroom. All of a sudden, I started losing my vision, like everything started going black. I just started falling towards the floor. All of a sudden, I looked down, and my chin is bleeding all over my chest, and the pain all hits me at once. I had to have an only liquid diet. I couldn't eat food for a whole month. I could barely speak. In the first week, I think I lost most of my weight. I lost like 10 pounds in the first week. I just started feeling really tired and exhausted all the time. That really showed me like the stark contrast of how like eating can affect you.
Is that the realization you had after your injury?
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Save Yourself podcast. I'm Dr. Amy Shah, and I have a really special guest today. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for an amazing start to the podcast. 2024 was an awesome start. I literally just started without really knowing anything about podcasts, anything about how it all works, with no sponsors. And I am so thankful for all of you who've reviewed it, who download it, who share it with your friends. It's been such a cool journey, and I'm getting to know more and more about what you like and what you want to hear more about. I hear a lot about, wanting to hear more about gut health, hormone health, about how not to age so poorly, that like how we do in the US, and of course, perimenopause tips or something that I think, and nutrition tips. I think that's kind of the summary. So today, we're going to go over some new year, new you ideas, plans that I'm doing, that I'd like to discuss, that my guest would like to discuss. I am very, very excited to introduce to you my son, Jaden.
Thanks for having me on.
So Jaden, the reason I'm having him on today is that he's on his own health journey, but he recently had something really terrible happen to him about a year ago.
Yeah, it's like about a year ago now.
And it was so interesting, obviously terrible, sad, horrendous, trials and tribulations, but he got through it. And I think it just shows you the power of the gut microbiome. But, before we get started, I wanted to tell, we just got back from a trip to Morocco. We had a great time. It's really hard with teens to spend time with them. And it was nice to have some, one-on-one time with him and Laura. And I have to say, one little story that I thought was so impressive, it just warmed my heart. We got off this like 17-hour journey, and we got off the airport in Casablanca in Morocco. And there was someone on our flight that was like literally an elderly woman who was literally struggling with her bag, and she was dragging it literally out of the plane. And we were walking pretty fast because we were trying to get to the front of the immigration line, but all of a sudden we lost Jaden. We were like, where did he go? And I looked back, and he had offered to carry this woman's bag, and they were chit-chatting all the way to the customs and immigration area. So I thought that was really sweet. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. It's no problem.
It looked like it was pretty heavy.
It was pretty heavy.
And you guys were having a very animated conversation.
Yeah, she thought I was like 25.
Yeah. Did you know was she going to Casablanca, or she was going?
No, she was from Morocco. She was from Morocco.
And she probably brought back a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it made me feel so good, because obviously I want you to be super successful, but most of all, I want you to be a good person. And so that made me feel good, because nobody asks you to do that. So
thank you.
So, all right, tell us, I'm going to talk about a few New Year's resolutions, but one of the things I wanted to bring up is that gut-brain connection is so important. And I think people are just realizing more and more, like this is the age of the gut, right? Because the gut-brain connection there's so many more studies showing how strong it is. So one of the things I want to do in 2025 is really nurture my gut even more. So, but you had this incident that we keep alluding to, where you really found out the power of that gut brain connection. You want to take us back to that day and what happened.
Okay, so it was about September 15th, around that time, 2024 or 2023. And I woke up one morning. It was just a normal morning. I had school. But I realized, I was running late. So I popped out of bed. I started moving quickly to my bathroom. And then all of a sudden, I started losing my vision. Like everything started going black. And I got really dizzy and disoriented. I just started falling towards the floor. And I tried to catch myself, but I just couldn't see anything. I was just so disoriented. And I put my hands out, but I couldn't catch myself. I slammed my face on the floor and I passed out. And I quickly got back up. I think I was still in shock. And I turned my shower on, and all of a sudden I looked down and my chin is bleeding all over my chest, and the pain all hits me at once. And I call my mom, like, "Mom, I fell. I need help." So she came to my room, and I was just laying there.
That's
I was
me, by the way.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
you. And then she came to my room and she helped me. She got me an ice pack. She called a couple people, and I was like, I think my jaw is broken. And so we went to the hospital later, and they took an MRI, and they said
X-ray or CT scan.
no, CT
CT
scan.
scan, yeah.
They did a CT scan, and they said the bad news is your jaw is broken, but the good news is it's not too bad. You still have full range of motion. But they showed us the X-ray, and it was like one side of my jaw was literally snapped in half. So I had to get the following day. I went back to the oral maxillofacial's office, and he had to wire my jaw shut for a month so it wouldn't move and it would heal back in place. So from that, I had to have an only liquid diet. I couldn't eat food for a whole month. I could barely speak.
Yeah, because your jaw was like completely wired shut. So
Yeah,
like
they
only
had-
thin liquids, even anything with fiber.
Yeah, not even thick liquids
Yeah.
to go through. So no fiber pretty much. But that was really challenging for my motivation, because without having any food in my system, I had to go up, do all these activities that everyone else was doing, but I couldn't do it on any food.
And you couldn't talk either.
Yeah, I couldn't talk, which was really hard because I love talking. So
I mean, that's hard for anyone not to be able to communicate. How many days did it take you to really feel awful? Because I know in the beginning, the shock, it was just shock. And
well, it was pretty immediate, actually. Like in the first week, I think I lost most of my weight. I lost like 10 pounds in the first week. And then I just started feeling really tired and exhausted all the time.
was it like within 2 or 3 days that you started feeling exhausted?
Pretty much, yeah. Like maybe the day after I got my jaw wired shut. Like it's a big operation too, so it might have also had an effect. But just the fact that I couldn't, it's like I went from eating everything the following day to eating nothing the next day.
Yeah.
Just huge.
What kind of emotions did you have during that time?
Just like mostly exhaustion, unmotivation, carelessness. Like my grades started slipping because it just didn't feel important to me anymore.
What did you want to do instead?
Just sleep, just go on my phone, do nothing really.
Do you think that had anything to do with like the food that you were eating? Because that's what we talked a lot about, is like what was happening to your emotions and your brain during that time?
Yeah, so I think as I consumed less food, I became less motivated, less interested in doing things. And especially because the food I was eating, like orange juice, like it's so sugary, and like I would just have sugar crashes all the time. Like it would give me energy for maybe an hour, and then I would just crash.
Yeah, and like you couldn't even have the fiber orange juice or anything. It was like
Yeah.
the thin, and it would be like
No pulp.
Gatorade and like no pulp orange juice. And I think, that just shows you what I kept thinking to myself when I was seeing you in that state. From my standpoint, was like, oh my God, that gut microbiome is like dying, because it was getting no fiber, no probiotics, no real nutrition, just basically sugar water.
I think near the end though, we got that corn soup, And I think
Yes.
that really helped because corn is able to get like all that fiber ground up.
Yeah, that
I
one meal was like the
I like
best
got
meal of
so
your
much.
life.
I got way happier. Like my motivation like spiked. So I think like that really showed me like the stark contrast of how like eating can affect you.
Yeah, so there's a study that showed that within 3 days, your entire gut microbiome can be different than the 3 days before that. So I can imagine that, like, your gut microbiome starts changing within 12 hours, 24 hours, but the real big drastic changes are in 3 days and onwards. So I can imagine that you're probably starting to feel like maybe you were a little bit unmotivated but it really hit you maybe a couple of days later.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely got worse like as it went on.
So your energy levels, what else?
So like what I said, my like satisfaction with like my actions, like my motivation. I don't think I went to the gym once because I would go and I would get so exhausted so quickly.
Did you feel like anxious or sad or anything like that?
A little bit, but that's just like not the kind of person I am. So it was like
Yeah.
it doesn't really happen to me often. But I did feel like just like I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah, like not a lot of care. It was we I think we joke about it now, but it was truly the hardest thing that has ever happened to. I think it's the hardest thing that's ever happened to me, and it didn't even happen to me.
Yeah, I think moms every time we do something, mom's like, "You only have one jaw. Let's not break it again."
Yeah, I think I'm like have total PTSD.
Yeah.
That PTSD, that getting a call from your child and saying that they have fallen and there's blood everywhere. I mean, that is like just etched in my brain, and I can't even get that. I can't even describe to you that feeling. When I first came, I literally was like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought because your face was intact. There was like blood on your chin, but I did not even imagine that something was broken.
Yeah, now like every time I call mom in the morning, I'm like, "Mom, can I have a bottle of water?" She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, yeah, I'm fine."
Yeah, it's like PTSD calls. Like I'm always like, text me before you call me if it's not an emergency. So like when I'm in yoga, remember you called the other day and I literally was like, why is he calling? He hasn't texted. I was like, something must have
But
happened.
then I was like, "When are you coming home?" You have
Yeah,
my car."
literally it was like not even something worth calling for. So
Just you don't respond to texts, so I have to call.
yeah. So did you feel like that changed your relationship with health and food or gut health, fitness, anything?
Yeah, that definitely made me more interested in like the mind gut connection because like maybe I was a little skeptical that like I could eat a burger and I could still feel happy. I could eat a carrot and still feel happy. Like I didn't really feel anything different. But then like after this experience, I'm like, it really has a huge effect on your emotions, how you act, how you feel, how you perceive things.
Now, I know you have a kind of an interest in health, nutrition, and fitness right now. What are some of the things you're doing this year or that you want to do more of this year? And I'll share some of mine that are kind of taking you into not necessarily resolutions, but health and wellness, fitness, things that you're doing more of or starting to help you.
So I have started a meal plan. So 1,860 calories with 165 grams of protein, 165 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat. And that's mostly to just build up muscle because I'm like, I really need the basis of muscle. And I've started to go to the gym more often, do a push-pull leg split. And then I started focusing more on my abs because even though abs are made in the kitchen, like you still have to have something under that to show.
What about anything you're going to change with sleep and stress or anything like that?
Yeah, so instead of trying to do my homework like super late every night, I'm gonna try to start like doing it earlier, so I can at least get 8 hours. Like I know, obviously, I'm shooting for like 10 hours because it feels so good to sleep 10 hours, but 8 hours is probably what I function best on. So
I don't think most people realize that teenagers need more sleep than
yeah,
you
it's
know
like if you look up
adults.
how much sleep is like recommended, it'll say 8 hours, but I think that's more like towards like adults, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So even adults. So I used to think that if I slept more than 7 hours, I was like lazy. But what I realized is the quality of your sleep really determines your day. And so your level of patience, like I think the biggest thing that happens when you don't get enough sleep is your nervous system is a little more on edge. So you might be like, get angry at things a little easier. And you need sleep to replace your hormones, like replenish your hormonal reserves. And so women especially tend to need a little more sleep, and also teens need more sleep. Anything else that you're doing?
I also started taking creatine because not just for my muscles, but like for my brain, for my like mood, just for like in general, because I know my mom posted a video recently about.
Oh yeah, we did a video together on it. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, creatine, it's not really recommended for kids under the age of 18, but because you're pretty much there, that's something that I think is safe for you because I've monitored you. But creatine can not only help with improving muscle growth, but has some benefits for brain health. Now, I'm not saying that it should be a substitute for like good diet and exercise, but I do think it's one of the things that could help.
It could supplement your exercise.
I'm a big believer in vitamin D. I think you take that and you take omega-3s, right?
Yeah, you said there was like people start their diets with just one
omega-3.
Yeah.
So people don't know this, but there was a very popular nutrition diet plan in the 90s that for the first 2 weeks, all you did was take omega-3 fatty acids because there's so much change that happens just with taking omega-3. So if you're someone who doesn't take omega-3s, you should consider trying it for a couple of weeks and seeing how it affects you. Now, if you're someone who loves salmon, I don't think you love.
No, I don't like
if
fish.
There's some omega-3 fatty acid rich fish.
Don't eggs have omega-3s?
A little bit, not enough that, same with like chia seeds and flax seeds, and
it's mostly meat.
They have omegas. No, mostly omegas come from fish or seaweed. Those
Is
are
that
like
why people eat like fish oil?
Yeah, fish oil. Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit harder to get in a vegetarian diet. But what people have found is like the main thing with omega-3s is to keep your omega-6s low. So you want omega-3 high, omega-6 low. So the ratio should be more like the omega-3 should be higher than the omega-6.
Mm-hmm.
So in our processed food, laden junk food diet, a lot of people are getting tons of omega-6. So then you need a lot of omega-3 to keep that ratio. But if you cut down the amount of snacks and fried food and junk food that you have, then you don't need as many omega-3s. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like the ratio that matters. So some people will not be taking a ton of omega-3s, but they keep a very clean diet and you're able to get that ratio.
I see.
So omega-3, vitamin D, creatine, anything else that you take? Magnesium.
Magnesium, yeah.
Yeah, that's
You love magnesium.
I love magnesium. So if you're someone like, it's so funny because even as a woman over 40 and as a teen, I'm like, you and I are on the same supplements because the vitamin D, a lot of people are low. You are very low. Do you remember when we checked
Vitamin
a long
D?
time ago? Yeah.
Yeah. That was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
So that's a good thing to check periodically. We should get it checked again. The omega-3, as we said, it's more inflammatory, brain health. So that's good to have. Magnesium, especially for the aging woman, is vital. So getting more magnesium in your diet is vital. Adding magnesium wherever you can. I do a magnesium glycinate. You don't really love the magnesium supplements, right? Because it kind of makes your stomach feel weird.
Sometimes it causes a reaction.
I think you could try the magnesium threonate, which is good for your brain, and it doesn't really have the GI side effects as much as, because I can do the glycinate, doesn't really bother my stomach, but I know what you mean. Like if you're sensitive to it, it can make your stomach.
I think it's just because you're used to it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think it was always this like easy for you though.
Yeah, I agree. What are you doing for your fruits and vegetables? I know as a teen, it's so tough. Like what would you tell people who are maybe your age or maybe parents listening, like how would you say is the best way to level up their nutrition or health or wellness?
I think the best way to get your fruits in, for me personally, is to get cotton candy grapes, and they're so sweet and good. And you throw them in the freezer or the fridge until they get a little crispy, and then you eat them, and they taste like candy. It tastes like hard candy.
That's actually a really great idea. I think a lot of people don't know this. How do you force yourself to eat more fruits and vegetables?
Just by making them taste better.
Yeah.
I think like a
You
big
love
reason,
mushrooms.
yeah, a big reason like people don't eat fruits and vegetables is not because like they don't want to. It's just like they don't taste good.
Yeah.
Like a good way to make vegetables taste good, like especially broccoli, is like pan fry them and then put like some like teriyaki sauce on them. I love teriyaki sauce. I'll
Oh,
put it
you
on
like the Korean barbecue sauce, right?
It's like the same thing.
Yeah, very similar. Okay, so one of my New Year's resolutions is to be more intentional with weight training. I'm going to do it at least 2 times a week. So what happened to me is like I love walking, I love cardio, I love hiking. We've done hiking so many times before. And hiking is a little different because you're going on an incline, so you are getting some muscle. But as I've gotten so busy with the wellness world and all of my social media and podcasting and all travel, I haven't been able to do as much weight training, and I've noticed a change. It's very easy to see I'm not as strong as I was maybe a year ago. And that's really hard to see yourself going the other way. But I'm happy. I'm doing the stuff I've really wanted to in my career. I'm getting to travel and meet new people. So I'm not mad, but 2025, I'm like, I have to stick to a schedule of at least twice a week weight training. Like that is at minimum. And so I think that that's doable, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the reason why New Year's resolutions fail most of the time is like you pick something that is so crazy. Like if I said I want to do weight training every single day, I think I would fail at it. Another thing that I'm doing that I think that somebody just told me yesterday that they picked up from me is, did you hear about the study about squatting?
No, I haven't.
So if you have a day where you're traveling all day, or if you're sitting in class all day, a study showed that squatting for 45 seconds every hour, if you take a break and you squat for 45 seconds, that is better than a 30-minute walk at the end of the day.
How long do you squat for?
45 seconds.
45 seconds squat is better than
Each hour. So like, for example, say you had a meeting from 9 to 10. You get up at 10, do just a bunch of squats for like less than a minute. And then you sit again till the next hour. And then between your next meeting and the next meeting, you do it again. So you're doing it but like 7-8 times.
Yeah.
That is better for your blood sugar than even a one-time 30-minute walk at the end of the day.
How?
Because you're breaking up that prolonged sitting. So, like we're sitting here.
But wouldn't a walk also break up the prolonged sitting?
Yeah. So they're saying, assuming that you don't have time for a 30-minute, like you don't have time for a 10-minute walk in between. Say you're in a confined space or your cubicle or you're in an office, right? Or a plane. You could technically get up every 45 minutes or so and like do a couple of squats in a cubicle or an office setting or whatever, even probably while you're traveling. But you probably can't go for a walk with any of those in a significant amount of time to make any difference. So what they're saying is like, instead of saving it all for the end of the day, have little mini bursts of exercise throughout the day. So I thought that was really interesting and eye-opening. And I think most people can say the way I would describe it is that don't spend more than 1 hour sitting ever.
So would you say this 45-second squat could replace the 10,000 steps recommended in a day?
I don't think so. I think this is for days where you're really not able to do your 7 to 10,000 steps. I think it's the days where you're on the airport or you're in meetings all day or you're in school all day and you know that right after school you've got something else where you can't go to the gym, But for someone like you, like who's like trying to up their fitness, it might be a nice way to kind of up level your fitness and get your blood sugars under control. Or even better, as you know, blood sugar is something that I'm always trying to work on. And I think you are too,
Mm-hmm.
because of our family history. Anything else that you're doing differently for 2025? I'll tell you a couple of my things too.
I think I'm going to try to eat less processed food because having just gone to Morocco, everything was so freshly made. And it was just like, I felt so much like better eating all that stuff.
Yeah, didn't you feel like it's so strange? Like we ate breakfast at the hotel,
Yeah.
although I skipped it a lot of times.
I skipped a lot too.
Yeah. And then we would have lunch, like a full meal for lunch, which
Humongous
is
meal.
yeah, like
giant.
which is so. But it would be like a late lunch because in Morocco they eat like late lunches.
So late. We ate like 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
I'm
like
oh my
2
God,
or
I'm
3
starving.
o'clock is like typical in Morocco, and it was so strange because I talk about circadian rhythms all the time, and I was like, wow, these people, this circadian rhythm is like completely out of alignment of what is necessarily what I talk about. But then dinner is always really late too for them. They eat dinner around like 9 or 10 o'clock. And so we were having full meals for breakfast, lunch, and mostly lunch and dinner, but we weren't really snacking at all in between.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
didn't
think
do
we had
any
anything
snacks.
in
We
between.
did like an apple sometimes.
Yeah.
And like
Oh, yeah.
vodka
Some
rice.
fruit when we got back to the room. I mean, that's it. We literally ate 0 chips.
Yeah, no chips or anything.
Like cookies.
Yeah, I lost like 5 pounds.
Yeah, like it's crazy how we eat in America. And like obviously we were on vacation, so weren't in a rush to eat all the time, and I think that makes a difference. But it just shows you, right? Like as I got back, I was like, okay, I'm going to try not to like go back to my old habits of eating not that I eat a ton of processed food, but like
You don't really
even
eat
the
any
little
food.
bit of snacks that we have. So have you been cutting down on your, ultra processed food? Every 10% of ultra processed food you reduce, you improve your chance of living by 10%.
Yeah, I've tried to cut down my processed food. There's like those one like Trader Joe's Takis that are so hard to stop
But
eating.
they have like better colors and
Yeah, but it's
flavors.
still just not good for you.
No, those
It's
are they're still ultra processed.
Yeah, and like having not eaten those for like a week, I like dropped 5 pounds. And
yeah,
just, like,
that's
so
like
nice.
the only ultra processed food you really eat.
Yeah, I don't
to
really
be
eat
honest.
processed food.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm living under your influence.
yeah, that's so great. I mean, it's not like I forced you to do that, but I
Yeah.
think it's like something that you've
It's
done.
like we like learn about it from you.
What is your thoughts on sunlight? I think for you, you're lucky because your campus is outdoors, but one of the things on my list for 2025 for people is really, I don't think a few years ago, if you asked me, hey, is sunlight a priority for you? I'd be like, oh no, that's like a luxury, but now I realize that getting natural light is an absolute necessity for good sleep, good health, good mood, like all of it. Do you feel like you get enough sunlight?
So yeah, I think just like going to school at an outdoor campus really exposes you to the sunlight. And I think it's really nice. Like I can eat my lunch outside. I pass through all my classes outside. Like I have the sun hitting me at all times. So I think it's really nice that I have that. And I remember when I was younger, like when I was like I don't know, like 8 or 10 or something, every morning you would make us come outside into your bathroom, and then we'd go into the patio and then do like a sun salutation for like
You remember that?
yeah, me, Laura, you,
Yeah.
and we would just like go in the sun for like 30 like for like a minute and say like what we are excited about for today. And I would just I remember that, and I'm like, I wish we did that more. I wish people did that more.
Yeah. I mean, I still do that. I still get up. And although, winter, it's dark, when we get up, but usually I get up and I go back out through the back door, and I just stand there setting intentions for like a minute, and then I come back inside. And the other thing I do right after that is that championship statement. I've told you about that
Yeah,
before.
it's like
Okay,
I
so
am.
my championship statement is basically, Todd Stottlemyre, our good friend, taught me this. It's writing your life as if it's already happened.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I
for
did.
you could be like, I am in college that I love. I'm studying something that I'm like so proud of, like that kind of thing. It's like you're giving your dreams a reality by saying it as if it already happened. So like I speak all over the world about like I might
Because
say
it gives you more confidence in saying like, who knows if I'll ever go to a good college. Like I
Yes.
don't think I'm gonna get into a good college. Then you're just like, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and that means you're already expecting disappointment, which just like causes disappointment.
Yeah, let me ask you this because you're in the midst of all this crazy stuff. I've been wanting to ask you this. Do you feel like going to a good college is a prerequisite for successful life?
No, definitely not. I think you just have to pick a college that's fit for you, one that you enjoy, one that you can get your studies done. Like as long as what you want to study is at that college, you'll be successful. But even if it's not, you can always branch out and find new things. Like
And I
and
think
for
life is like, it's so different now. It's not about the college, it's often about like the experience you had in that field.
yeah, like if you go to like Harvard, but like you do horrible at Harvard, it's like everyone's mean to you,
And you
your
don't find
grades
what you
suck.
love and you're not able to pursue it.
Versus if you go to Paradise Valley Community College, you go pre-med, you like go crazy, you like study everything, you like study super hard and you get all A's. Like what something's more impressive than that.
Yeah. And I think that nowadays that if you're just really good at something that you're passionate about, that is more worth it than any kind of institution. Now, I do believe in going to the top. Whatever it is that you love to do, I do believe in getting the top training in that.
Because no matter how much your expertise is, the top schools will always give you the better education.
Yeah, like if you're an expert in cooking, I would encourage you to go to the best cooking school
Because
in
if
the
you go
country.
to a subpar cooking school, they can't offer you as much as the
Yeah,
top
I mean,
schools
of course you could be a chef without any cooking school, right? Like you could be successful without even going to college.
But
I mean,
the
that's
rate of success at the top schools are higher.
yeah, and I think it's also a test of your discipline. Like how I hate tests, but I know that tests force you to be disciplined, force you to spend some time studying, force you to show people your kind of mastery of the
Your
subject.
expertise.
Yeah, and so I think it's nobody likes to study, nobody likes school, nobody likes tests, but I do think that it gives you a sense of discipline that not having it doesn't. Like I feel like if you didn't go to college, I wouldn't mind if you were like, hey, I'm going to throw myself into learning about X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to not go to college or take a break. I'd be fine with that. But I do think that college or school in general adds like a level of discipline that can be useful. It's just like a building a muscle.
Yeah.
You know, like
But you
discipline
could
is
always
what you
go
need.
without it, but it's nice to have it.
Yeah. I think the other thing in 2025 that I want to do more of that I've really gotten into in 2024, and you know this, is kind of the mind body connection. So I'm such a believer that, in the mind gut connection, but it goes both ways. So it's all what you eat, but it's also what you think, and they kind of connect to each other. So some of the, I used to always believe like, oh, you should worry about the worst case scenario. But now I realize you should want to imagine
The best possible thing that could come out of it.
yeah. And I think it's such a shift in mindset. Like I'm so trained to think about the worst case scenario. I've been training myself over the last couple of years to be like, no, it's all going to work out. It's actually going to be fine. And like, if I'm worried about you or Lara, I'm always like, it's going to work out fine. Like I'm certain that things are going to be exactly the way they're supposed to be. And that's helped me a lot.
And I remember Laura said this a couple days ago. She's like, the world is so different depending on where you stand. Like, depending on how you perceive things, everything is so different.
Yeah, like you could perceive every day as like awful and everything's going wrong.
Like every day is just another like trial.
Yeah. Or you could perceive every day as like, oh my God, this is such an opportunity for me to
Like a
do
blessing.
something. Yeah. So I think how do you view every day?
I think every day is just another chance to enjoy myself, enjoy my life.
That's awesome. Oh yeah. So what are you really, really passionate about in this world? Is there something you want to share that you think, you're really passionate about that can help a lot of other people?
I'm really passionate about nutrition, like my mom, of course. I'm passionate about volleyball. Passionate about just exercise in general.
I think that mind body connection. Do you feel like that injury that you had changed your perspective at all?
Yeah, it's just like I really have to be careful about what I eat and stuff because like it's just so huge. Like I don't want to my life to be all sad and like unmotivated my whole life. Like I want to have purpose. I want to be successful. And I realize that comes from what I eat.
Yeah, is that crazy?
Like
That
my
gut
whole
motivation connection?
every dream, every aspiration, everything I want to do in life can only happen if I eat right, which is
It's
so
so
crazy.
crazy. Is that the realization you had after your injury?
Yeah.
Like that is so profound because I don't think most people know that. I don't think they equate success or like happiness or future with like nutrition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like something that's very, very new to most people. So I'm really happy. I'm not happy that this happened to you, but I'm happy that you're able to come away
Come
with a
out of it.
very, very deep understanding of how to keep yourself happy and motivated, even and just like energized. And I think half the problem in the world here, the modern world, is that we are all eating these like very ultra processed diets and we're not making the connection. I don't think I made the connection until well into my medical training that there was a connection between what I was eating and how I felt on a daily basis. But it really does make a difference. I think the trends for 2025 are going to move away from being restrictive. Like, I don't think there's going to be so much gluten-free, dairy-free,
Yeah, because
all
everyone's
this.
gonna realize like everything has something wrong with it.
Yeah. And like, I don't think that gluten-free and dairy-free have necessarily, I think we all tried it. I think everybody should try it. You should put yourself on a gluten-free, dairy-free. You've done it. I've done it. But then I think that as you expand your gut microbiome, most people are able to tolerate small amounts of like sourdough that has gluten, small amounts of yogurt that has dairy,
Yeah,
like,
there's no reason in going fully off of it. It's just like like monitoring how much you intake.
yeah. And most people don't realize those food sensitivity tests. I don't know if you know about this, but there's these tests that people get where it's like hidden food sensitivities and they're so wrong. Like they marginally help people, but it's really just like flipping a coin. I
Yeah,
mean,
like it's gonna cause a change no matter what, but like it's
yeah,
not something huge.
yeah, I don't really believe in food sensitivity testing. I think it's something that most people are wasting their money on. I do believe in food elimination diets. So I think you've done this. I've done this.
Just trying
Spending
it out,
a
like
couple,
trying kind of
3 weeks, yeah, off of gluten, dairy, white sugar. Sometimes adding
sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. It's like
exactly.
trial and error.
Yeah, try it out, see how you feel, and then you can decide what you want to do. So, any big goals or aspirations that you want to share about 2025? I think this is my first year that I'm really diving into the wellness, nutrition, gut health world outside of my clinical practice. I think I've been kind of moving towards this educational world. But this is like my first year that I'm going to really dive deep. And I have a lot of things in store and lots of surprises and lots of things that I'm going to be creating for everyone out there. And I hope that you're going to be helping me with some of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Some research, some guides, some lots of resources for people to actually get healthy, because I honestly believe that if you get that gut brain connection, right, that gut brain hormone connection, not only do you feel better and look better, but you're going to spend the next 20, 30, 40, for you, probably 50, 60 years of your life in a positive way, instead of having the end of your life being very, very disabled and full of chronic diseases. Living into your hundreds with no health problems. Like, how amazing would that be?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. So, that being said, I am so super thankful for you to be here. I know your schedule is like busier than mine. So I'm very, very grateful. And I'm grateful that we can have this conversation. I mean, this is a conversation we've had a million times off air. We just kind of had it on air.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful. I'm very excited for the next generation to think of the new ways that we can be using this to elevate our lives. Like, I think in your generation, I don't know if it's just you or it's your generation, but I think there's a lot more interest in health and nutrition, gut health. And I think we're going to see that ripple effect in society. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So thanks everyone for watching and listening. Thank you for your reviews. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for subscribing. We're so grateful. I have a group coaching program over at amymdnetwork.com, and we have our chai latte that's sugar-free at amymdwellness.com, and also the new chai protein. So check those all out, and I will join you next time. Thanks a lot.